The search for meaning is a reflection of our natural desire to understand our place in the universe.
People live like sleepwalkers, trapped in automatic patterns of behavior and thought.
Our search for meaning is like a river flowing toward the sea. Even when encountering obstacles, its nature drives it to its destination.
True wisdom lies in embracing uncertainty, allowing each moment to be lived with curiosity.
Hello, I'm Ruby and Oliver, and today I have the honor of welcoming two of the greatest spiritual masters of all time, Yogananda and Osho. Their presence here is a true gift for all of us who seek to better understand the mysteries of existence and find meaning in an increasingly chaotic world. In today's episode, we will dive into a fascinating topic. Why does the modern world make no sense? In an era of unprecedented technological and scientific advances, paradoxically, we feel more lost and disconnected than ever. This is not just another philosophical debate. It's a deep exploration that can transform your way of seeing and living life. Let's discover how the apparent chaos of the modern world can actually be an invitation to awaken consciousness, how to find purpose amidst the absurd, and how to learn to dance with life's uncertainties. Throughout this conversation, you will discover how to transform the apparent lack of meaning into a path of self-knowledge, why our attempts at control only increase our anxiety, how to find peace and purpose in a world that seems increasingly chaotic. So, to start, I want to ask an intriguing question. If life is as absurd as it seems, why do we still take everything so seriously? Yogananda, I would like to hear your perspective on this.
Rubian, this excessive seriousness is an interesting reflection of our human nature. You know, we constantly seek meaning and security amidst the chaos of existence. It's like the majestic mountains of the Himalayas. They stand firm even during the most violent storms, just as we seek something solid to anchor us. When we live without perceiving the nuances of life, everything seems like a game of shadows where we attribute too much weight to things. But it is precisely this search for meaning, whether through meditation, relationships, or work, that makes us genuinely human. Love, pain, joy, sadness, they are all pillars that build our inner house, even if one day we realize that this house is also made of illusions. True wisdom lies in being able to laugh at the absurd, like a yogi who enjoys observing the contradictions of life. When we become aware of this laughter that permeates tragedy, we find something profound. So yes, take seriously what is important, but never forget to have fun along the spiritual journey.
Fascinating this view on balancing seriousness with laughter. Yogananda, Osho, how do you see this issue of life's absurdity and our tendency toward excessive seriousness?
Look, Rubian, life can seem absurd when we observe it from a higher perspective. Our excessive seriousness is merely a symptom of our unconsciousness. We live like sleepwalkers, trapped in automatic patterns of behavior and thought. It's like a balloon. When we hold it too tightly, it becomes heavy and difficult to manage. But when we let go of the restraints, it floats freely. Similarly, our excessive seriousness is like holding that balloon too tightly, clinging to a rigid understanding of life. Meditation teaches us to observe thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing us to even laugh at our own seriousness. When we free ourselves from expectations and excessive control, we open space for spontaneity. True freedom and happiness arise from this state of presence that transforms the apparent absurd into a rich tapestry of experiences to be lived lightly.
What transformative perspectives! I noticed that both of you point to a vital balance, neither denying the seriousness of life nor losing ourselves in it. Yogananda reminds us of the importance of the yogi's laughter, while Osho invites us to let go of the restraints of rigidity. It makes me think that perhaps true wisdom lies in dancing between these two poles, recognizing the depth of life without losing its lightness. And another thing that would be deeply important for us here is for you to leave your like on this video. If you're enjoying what we are doing here, please help our channel grow. Thank you in advance. But continuing, this previous reflection leads us to an even deeper question. Yogananda, is the world absurd because we have distanced ourselves from self-knowledge, or because we were never meant to fully understand it?
Rubian, that is a question that touches the core of our human experience. The feeling of absurdity mainly arises when we lose our connection with the true self and with essential spiritual truths. It's as if we are navigating an ocean without a compass. The further we drift from our inner nature, the more lost we feel in the waters of existence. However, there is a profound beauty in this constant mystery that is life. The most fundamental questions about our existence rarely have simple or direct answers. We were not necessarily destined to fully understand everything, but rather to experience the dance of this eternal search. It is in the very spiritual journey that we find the most precious revelations, developing a closer connection with the divine that manifests in every moment. When we align with our spiritual essence, the apparent absurd transforms into a sacred space of learning. Adversities gain meaning, and the world reveals itself as a mirror of our own perceptions and state of consciousness.
Osho, I would like to hear your view on this same question. Does the absurdity of the world come from our disconnection with self-knowledge, or is it an inevitable part of our condition?
The absurdity we perceive, Rubian, is primarily a reflection of our own inner disconnection. When we get lost in the labyrinth of the mind and its illusions, we begin to see everything through distorted lenses. It's like someone wearing dirty glasses. The problem is not in the world we observe, but in the way we see it. Imagine a person who spends their entire life chasing mirages in the desert. They run back and forth, always believing that the next mirage will be real, without realizing that the true water is within themselves. Similarly, we seek external answers to questions that can only be understood when we dive into our interior. The central question is not whether we can fully understand the world, but recognizing that true understanding arises from connection with our essence. As long as we remain asleep in our unconsciousness, the world will continue to seem like an impossible puzzle to solve.
It's impressive how these views complement each other. This makes me realize that perhaps the true challenge is not to understand the world in its entirety, but to develop a more conscious relationship with the mystery of existence. Continuing this journey, we are led to another crucial question. Yogananda, has the modern world completely lost its sense of purpose? Or are we just more aware of the chaos that has always existed?
Rubian, this question touches on a fundamental point of contemporary human experience. Imagine yourself on the edge of a rushing river. The pure water is still there, but the speed of the current may make us think it is unreachable. This is how many feel today regarding purpose. What we perceive as a loss of meaning is, in fact, a reflection of the constant bombardment of information and pressures of modern life. Social expectations and an excessive focus on material achievements can obscure our connection with the inner divine spark. However, this turbulence may be precisely the catalyst we need for a deeper search. The current chaos is not necessarily greater than in other times, we are just more aware of it. And this awareness, paradoxically, can be our greatest ally in rediscovering purpose. It's as if the universe invites us to look within, question our values, and find harmony even amidst apparent disorder.
This is a fascinating perspective on how chaos can be a portal to self-knowledge. Osho, how do you see this issue of purpose in the contemporary world?
Rubian, it's interesting how people today talk about a loss of purpose when, in fact, we are just awakening from a long collective slumber. It's like a tree that, as it grows, expands its roots and discovers different layers of soil, some nourishing, others not so much. This process can be uncomfortable, but it is essential for growth. In the past, many lived in a state of unconsciousness, blindly following purposes imposed by society. Now, as consciousness expands, we begin to question these automatons. People realize the disconnection between their mechanized lives and their deeper values. This apparent chaos is, in fact, an invitation to awaken. It's an opportunity to question our true motivations and reconnect with our true essence.
What deep analyses! It's interesting to note how both see the current chaos not as a problem, but as an opportunity for transformation. This makes me think that perhaps we are living not in an era of loss, but in a rediscovery of true meaning. But let's explore this even further. But before we continue, let me give you an incredible tip. Did you know it's very easy to get ahead of 99% of people, succeeding in everything you want for your life? I will leave a link below in the description to a book that changed my perspective on various aspects of my mind, and it has been helping thousands of people find clarity and confidence to achieve their goals and dreams. Be sure to check it out. I'm sure you'll love it. Now we come to a fundamental question that touches the core of our current reality. Yogananda, does the chaos of the modern world reflect a collective state of spiritual ignorance, or is it merely a mirror of our natural evolution?
Rubian, this question is like a prism that reveals different facets of our reality. The chaos we observe is, in fact, a manifestation of our collective spiritual ignorance, but it also carries within it the seeds of transformation. Imagine an abandoned garden. When we start to take care of it, chaos first emerges. Weeds need to be removed, the soil needs to be turned. It's an apparently destructive process, but necessary for new growth. Similarly, the current social upheavals and crises are signs that we are awakening from a long period of spiritual neglect. The difficulties we face are like a universal call for introspection. The masters have always taught us that the darkest moments precede the dawn of consciousness. The current chaos is not just destruction, it is an invitation to dive deeper into our spiritual essence and discover fundamental truths that have been forgotten.
A powerful analogy. Yogananda, Osho, I would like to hear your perspective on this dance between chaos and consciousness in the modern world.
Look, Rubian, it's as if humanity is living in a state of collective hypnosis. The chaos we observe is not natural evolution, it is the inevitable result of millions of people living in complete unconsciousness, driven by their unexamined fears and desires. The modern world is like a puppet show, where people believe they are awake, but in reality, they are being moved by invisible strings of conditioning and mental programming. Every conflict, every crisis we see is a symptom of this deep disconnection from our true nature. True evolution only happens when there is a conscious awakening, when we begin to question these automatic structures of thought and behavior. The current chaos is an alarm sounding, calling us to wake up from this deep sleep and seek authentic inner transformation.
What revealing perspectives! Both point to a deep truth. Chaos is not our enemy, but a teacher. Yogananda shows us how it can be a catalyst for spiritual growth, while Osho warns us about the need to awaken from collective unconsciousness. Let's continue our exploration. We come to a question that deeply touches our existence. Yogananda, is the search for stability and meaning in life an illusion or a fundamental human need?
Rubian, this search is undoubtedly a fundamental need of our existence. As conscious beings, we carry within us the natural desire to understand our place in the universe and find a purpose that transcends the mundane. Think of a tree. To grow strong and healthy, it needs firm roots in the soil. In the same way, we need a stable foundation to flourish. But note that stability does not mean stagnation. Just as the tree adapts to the seasons, maintaining its essence while transforming, we also need to find this balance between firmness and flexibility. This search is a vital impulse that connects us with the divine, with others, and with our own essence. It is a journey that, although challenging and sometimes uncertain, guides us toward a true understanding of our role in the cosmos. Each step on the path of self-knowledge brings us closer to the real essence of life.
Master Osho, how do you see this search for stability and meaning? Is it something we should pursue, or an illusion that traps us?
Interesting that you ask this, Rubian. Look, this search reflects a fundamental human need, but we need to understand its true nature. In a world of constant change, many lose themselves pursuing an external stability that is, in essence, impossible to achieve. It's like a boat in the middle of the ocean. It's pointless to try to cling to every wave that arises. That will only increase our anguish. True stability comes from learning to navigate with awareness, understanding that our essential nature remains unchanged even amidst life's storms. The mistake lies in seeking meaning only in the external world, ignoring the inner transformation that happens through consciousness and awakening. The key is to find anchorage in our own essence, even when everything around seems chaotic.
What beautiful complementary perspectives. I realize that perhaps the secret lies in seeking without attachment, in creating roots that allow us to grow toward the sky. Our journey brings us to another intriguing reflection. Yogananda, would we be happier if we accepted that most of life is random and illogical? How could this acceptance transform our experience?
Rubian, this question touches on something profoundly liberating. You know, we often wear ourselves out trying to find a logical explanation for every event in life, as if we were scientists trying to decipher a complex universal code. Imagine trying to control the course of a river. The more you try to redirect it, the more your effort dissipates in the reality of the water flowing in its own way. It's exactly like life. When we accept its unpredictable nature, we free ourselves from the shackles of excessive control. This acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation. It's more like a dancer moving in harmony with the music, even without knowing what the next note will be. The wise of India have always taught us to develop this perspective of detachment, understanding that true happiness lies in accepting what is presented to us. It is in this space of conscious surrender that peace and joy can truly flourish.
Osho, how do you see this question of the randomness of life and its relation to our happiness?
Look, Rubian, when we cling to the idea that everything must follow a rigid logic or a predictable sequence, we create our own mental prison. It's as if we are constantly trying to fit the infinite into a small box, an impossible and frustrating task. Observe nature. Flowers do not grow following a mathematical plan. They bloom according to the conditions of the environment, and it is precisely this apparent randomness that creates the diversity and beauty of the natural world. True wisdom lies in embracing uncertainty, allowing each moment to be lived with curiosity and openness. When we accept that life is a mysterious flow, we become more resilient and capable of diving deeply into experiences, whether they are joyful or painful. It is in this acceptance that we find authentic inner peace.
Fascinating how both perspectives illuminate different aspects of the same truth. Yogananda shows us the art of dancing with the unpredictable, while Osho reveals how our resistance to randomness creates mental prisons. I realize that perhaps true happiness does not lie in understanding everything, but in embracing the mystery of life with courage and openness. Continuing, we come to a provocative question that touches on deeply rooted structures in our society. Yogananda, why do we value institutions and systems that, deep down, we know are absurd?
Rubian, this is a fascinating question that reveals much about our human nature. You know, we have this deep desire for belonging and security that often makes us cling to structures, even when we recognize their flaws. It's like an ancient tree in a forest. Its roots are so intertwined with the soil that, even if we realize it's no longer healthy, we still lean on its familiar shade. From a young age, we are shaped by stories and teachings that exalt these institutions, creating emotional ties that are hard to break. There is also an interesting cultural aspect. When we see previous generations valuing something, we tend to replicate that behavior, even if we intuitively perceive its contradictions. It's as if we are carrying a heritage that, despite its imperfections, becomes part of our identity. The most intriguing thing is that challenging these structures requires a courage that few are willing to demonstrate. Questioning the established means reevaluating who we are and how we relate to the world. Often, the comfort of the known, even if absurd, seems safer than the challenge of the new.
What a deep analysis of our relationship with established structures. Osho, I would like to hear your perspective on this valuation of systems that we know to be absurd.
The question you bring, Rubian, reveals a deep state of collective unconsciousness. People have become so accustomed to these systems that they have even lost the ability to question them. It's like living in a state of hypnosis, where we repeat patterns automatically without ever examining their foundations. The search for security and belonging makes these systems attractive, even when they are clearly dysfunctional. People prefer to cling to known structures, even if absurd, rather than face the discomfort of change and authenticity. Observe nature. It functions in perfect harmony without the need for limiting institutions. True awakening begins when we allow ourselves to question these structures and recognize that life is much richer than the labels and systems we create. The awareness of this absurdity is the first step toward real transformation.
What powerful insights! This makes me question how many truths we accept simply out of fear of facing the unknown. But I have here one more fascinating question now. Yogananda, what makes some absurdities in the world acceptable while others deeply revolt us?
Rubian, this is an intriguing dynamic of our psyche. Our perception and emotional interpretation profoundly shape how we react to the different absurdities we encounter. It's like an internal filter that processes our experiences according to our values and conditioning. Think of a garden. Some weeds seem so common that we hardly notice their presence, while others deeply disturb us and make us act immediately to remove them. Similarly, certain absurdities have become so familiar in our society that we end up normalizing them, like inequality in different spheres of life. When something directly hurts our deepest values, such as preventing someone from following their spiritual path due to rigid dogmas, revolt arises naturally. It's our consciousness alerting us to something that contradicts our innate quest for truth and self-knowledge.
And what about you, Master Osho? How do you see this selectivity in our acceptance or revolt against the absurdities of the world?
Rubian, this is a question that reveals much about our state of consciousness. When we are asleep, like in a deep dream, we accept absurd situations without questioning. It's like walking in a state of sleepwalking, where the ills of life go unnoticed because they don't touch us personally. Our revolt arises when something penetrates this bubble of unconsciousness and forces us to see reality as it is. It's like a ray of light piercing through the darkness. Suddenly, what was hidden becomes impossible to ignore. True lucidity invites us to question all absurdities, not just those that personally disturb us. When we awaken to a higher consciousness, we begin to realize that our indifference to certain injustices is part of the problem we need to face.
Very interesting. This makes me reflect on how many absurdities we normalize in our lives simply because we have not yet awakened to see them. But this brings another very interesting question. If the world is intrinsically illogical, how can we justify the pursuit of justice and equality? Yogananda, I would like to hear your perspective on this.
Rubian, this pursuit of justice and equality is like the journey of a river toward the sea. Even when encountering obstacles along the way, its nature drives it toward its destination. It's a profound manifestation of our human essence, which longs for harmony and connection. We don't need logic to justify this pursuit, as it arises from something deeper, our capacity to love and feel compassion. Even when the context seems bleak, as we have seen in great leaders who faced almost unimaginable adversities, the light of justice continues to guide our steps. It's like planting a seed in seemingly barren soil. Even when everything seems to conspire against it, we continue to nurture the hope that one day it will bloom into a garden of equality. The justification lies in the very essence of being human, to aspire for the better, even when logic fails us.
A profound view on our essential nature. Yogananda, Osho, how do you see this apparent contradiction between an illogical world and our constant pursuit of justice and equality?
Look, Rubian, it's fascinating how this pursuit emerges precisely from our capacity for consciousness. In a world where most live in a deep sleep state, the pursuit of justice is like a collective alarm clock calling us to a higher reality. When we expand our consciousness, we begin to realize that justice and equality are not just abstract ideals, they are manifestations of our true nature, which is love and compassion. Like a seed that sprouts even in adverse conditions, this pursuit represents our ability to transcend the limitations of the human condition. It is through this awakening that we can create an environment where everyone has the opportunity to flourish. The apparent illogicality of the world does not diminish the importance of this pursuit. On the contrary, it makes it even more significant as an expression of our conscious evolution.
What enlightening perspectives! It deeply touched me how both point to something beyond conventional logic. While Yogananda shows us that the pursuit of justice is a natural reflection of our essence, Osho reveals how it emerges from a deeper awakening of consciousness. Now we come to a deeply intriguing question. Yogananda, is the absurdity of life a barrier to happiness, or can it be the key to achieving it?
Rubian, the absurdity of life is, in fact, a portal to a more authentic happiness. Imagine life as a complex symphony. We don't always understand every note or harmony, but it's precisely this unpredictability that makes the music fascinating. When we accept that not everything needs to have a logical explanation or a clear purpose, we free ourselves from the expectations that often trap us. It's like a dancer who surrenders to the rhythm without trying to control every movement. True joy arises from this conscious surrender to the flow of life. Laughter in the face of absurdity is one of the purest expressions of freedom. When we understand that total control is an illusion, we create space for a happiness that does not depend on specific circumstances but emerges naturally from our ability to flow with life as it is.
Osho, how do you see this relationship between the absurdity of life and our pursuit of happiness?
Rubian, the absurd is a precious invitation to awakening. Most people live chasing a happiness based on social concepts and expectations, like someone running after their own shadow. The more they run, the further away it seems. True happiness arises when we stop trying to make sense of everything and simply allow ourselves to be present in the experience of the moment. It's like a child playing. They do not seek meaning or logic in their play, they just live the joy of the present. When we embrace the absurd with awareness, it becomes a doorway to inner freedom. Happiness is not in understanding or controlling life, but in experiencing it with an open and present heart, free from the shackles of logic and reason that often imprison us.
Extraordinary how these views complement each other. Yogananda shows us the art of dancing with the unexpected, while Osho invites us to a conscious presence that transcends the need for explanations. I realize that the absurd can be precisely the teacher we need to learn the true nature of happiness, not something to be conquered, but a quality that emerges when we free ourselves from the need for control. Wow, what an incredible journey! We have reached the end of another transformative episode. The wisdom of Yogananda and Osho has gifted us with profound perspectives on how to find meaning in an apparently chaotic world. We have seen that the absurdity of life can be precisely the portal to our transformation and spiritual growth. I want to immensely thank our masters Yogananda and Osho for being here. Their complementary visions have helped us understand that true wisdom lies in embracing the mystery of life with courage and openness. I sincerely hope to have them again on our channel for more transformative conversations like this. And if you enjoyed learning more about how to deal with the apparent lack of meaning in life, be sure to check out our video, How They Overcame Overthinking, where we explore with Sri Nisargadatta and Rumi how to overcome excessive thinking and find mental peace even amidst chaos. I also highly recommend our episode, Do Not React, Learn to Master Your Emotions, where Musashi and Aristotle teach us how to develop emotional intelligence and respond consciously to life situations, rather than just reacting to them. The links to these two videos are on the screen now. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the moment. Here we always bring deep and transformative conversations like this, which can help you find more clarity and purpose in your journey. Thank you for watching until now, and I wish you to be free from everything that takes away your peace.